The last one. Mr. Nichol?
Close down to the little tweaky tweaks that
Right.
next time. Yeah, we're close. Start out with, of course, we've all been going on the appraised value of 175 million. Yeah, there's a possibility that a couple of cases are floating out there that might be for tax appeal. And I don't know if you just can wait. I think we do what we do every year. We do it. We'll do an estimated mill levy, and we're going to try to hit the 48.115. However, realizing that if the valuation moves south a little bit, that number moves north. And likewise, if valuation ever goes north, that number goes south. It's going both ways. And up until 2 years ago, it wasn't being treated right by the county, but I complained long enough that we now, when that happens, we had a couple of years where the valuation actually went down and the mill levy didn't go up like it's supposed to. It stayed exactly what we published. We do an estimate mill levy, we do tax dollars. I do think, I know, and I just saw an article that I didn't get a chance to print it out for you. I'll send an email to y'all. I know Commissioner Brown's been talking about the dark stores and stores and the Walmarts and everything. Last Friday, the Board of Tax Appeals ruled that Johnson County had been overtaxing Walmarts and Sam's Clubs. So I think what that tells me is that we got to be realistic in our goals from here on to the future, because we don't know what they'll do to our valuation in the future. If those kind of stores get in there and that gets to be a trend, don't know how to stop it, because BOTA has the Board of Tax Appeals has the final say. So I think that just tells me is to be a bit cautious, but not I wouldn't be crazy cautious yet. But we gained back about $3 million in the valuation. We had lost about $6 million valuation over a 2-year period. We gained about $3 million back this year, and we'll see where it goes from that. Right now, we have Lindsay and I last week met with almost every department head, trying to find ways we could get down. Where we stand tonight is at a mill levy of 49.693, a little north of where I want to be, and we'll discuss a little bit. We made some cuts, some ideas we have. Ray, I don't know if he's going to talk about it tonight in the regular meeting about buying trucks, and the goal was to replace 2 trucks out of this year's budget and 2 out of next year's budget, and do lease purchase on those. The good part about it, as he'll explain later on, his bids on the truck for 2 trucks was what he anticipated for basically 1 truck. Got some outstanding bids. So maybe we move forward and forget next year's truck and buy them all now, because we have some room this year to do that and at least purchase. And that pulled out the money that we were going to put in next year. So it was things like that we did. We went through a lot of budgets and cut hard. I still think, though, when I make cuts, I still have room for disasters and extra things, because one thing that in all the budgets, every line item, every single budget on fuel, for example, since I've been here, we have not raised fuel, we have not lowered fuel, and most of it is still based at $4 a gallon. Well, luckily, we haven't seen $4 a gallon fuel. Yeah, but we all know they can change overnight if somebody does something different around the world, weird around the world. But it also gives us that cushion we can work with. And we have other line items that we can do that into. And basically, I'm going to just dwell on the tax. The utility things are fine. I mean, we've mentioned it before, money in, money out. We have put a responsible rate structure in place. We've moved forward in making the improvements in infrastructure in water and wastewater. I think we can make more, especially on the distribution and the collection side on wastewater. We have some big projects coming up in stormwater, but we put a little increase last year that we can blow through those. We can get through those fine. I think the big issues boil down tonight is, one, how do I get to 48.115? And I got an option here that we'll discuss here. We can either make some more cuts, or one option is, right now we transfer $800,000 into debt service. $300,000 from special highway, $300,000 from stormwater, and the rationale for that always was, used to be 4 and 4, was we were paying off money that was borrowed to build streets, curb and gutter, streets, stormwater, okay, and the drainage systems and everything else. And then 3 years ago, we lowered those to 300 each, and we put in 100 for water and 100 for wastewater, because in that, even though we do a water project, if we're going to do a water project, the water plant, we use utility funds. when you did special assessments back in the 2008 to 10 period, whenever they were done, 2006-10 period, you threw that all into general obligation. Rightfully so, I have no problem with that. So one of my suggestions, and it solves our problem this quickly if you wanted to go that way, and I think it merits some thought, is to keep the 3 and 3, but to increase storm or water and wastewater each to 250. Bring $300,000 total. $250,000 from water, $200,050 from wastewater, transferred to debt service, half to 3 and 3, so 1.1 million. That drops us now into the 47 mil range, 47 and 47.945. Drops us in there. I don't feel bad about that because you can make the argument that water and wastewater never really were responsible for paying that. The good part about it is I look down the future, we have to be a little careful. What hit us this year was last year we were able to lower the amount of mill levy. We probably shouldn't have been so aggressive for stormwater, or not for debt, but that lowered for this year, the motor vehicle tax by about $100,000. It's in the south. Each year from on out, so what scares me a little bit, our cash balances in debt service they're okay. But I want to keep them at okay. I don't want to go below okay. And I want to keep them there a little bit because it'll all come out at the end. When we get done paying debt, whenever that day is, there will be no money left. Nobody's going to make money, and it gives you that cushion to get through if anything weird happens. And so my suggestion is to do that, and I think it's very justifiable. Even the transfers, we transfer $475,000 each from water and wastewater into the general fund. We transfer $160,000 from sanitation into the general fund. I don't call them franchise fees, I call them transfers. I'm a real believer, and again, you got to realize I've had 20-some years of electric and 4 years of natural gas. You transfer over there because, and I'll use Westar, for example. Westar makes a profit. They pay it back to their stockholders. DSNO Electric, they make a profit. I, as a owner of the company, since I'm a cooperative, I get some of that profit back. If we have a utility or service we make money on, we pay the dividend back to the people by keeping tax rates lower and benefits.
Legally, you can do that as an enterprise fund?
Yeah. Enterprise fund, there's a state statute that basically says you can do anything you want with Senate. It's based on Senate, 30 years ago. Enterprise funds, and you have to have some rationale to them. You got to realize there's been towns I worked in that I was 100% out of electric. You can do the transfers, and it's totally legal. There's nothing, I'm not going to recommend anything that's not legal. I don't want to spend time in another place unless I have a good job.
You look good in orange.
They won't give me a tie, though.
Is that going to put us in compromising position for projects like the pond or the wastewater treatments and those sorts of
Pond
things?
is stormwater.
Right, and we're taking some money from that.
We always have been.
Yeah.
And we have enough money in place with what we did last year to pay for those projects. We may have to space, they're spacing out naturally. Last year we talked about doing them all at once. Well, not that we didn't want to do them at once. It just takes time to get things done, which also is an advantage too. Water and wastewater, of all of our debt, Lindsay and I are actually looking at paying off. We're going to have to borrow more for phase 2 and 3, which Don will talk about tonight. But we have some old water out there, loans from KDHE, that we may want to look at interest rate and get rid of them. We can. We have good cash reserves in those funds. We're doing the right things. We have good cash reserves in everything right now, but I want to keep them there. We don't want to go south and ruin everything we've earned, so keep them there. So, it's very doable on that. I think as far as other items to think about there, I think I do have enough money available that, this year we allotted $50,000 for sidewalks. We did 30-some thousand, just did right now that we bid out and have done if we have time. And we always thought we could do them ourselves, but, Ray's guys are just, they're working as hard as they can this year with all the street work we have. So maybe we can do some of that in the future ourselves and not have the labor cost in there. But it's going to depend on workload too. I like what we've done downtown. That's what we need to do, and people will notice that. I don't know if I ever want to get to a program, and I know last year a landowner here in town says we should have a program where we offer rebates to the landlords. I don't know if I'm there yet on that one. I think we fixed the areas that a lot of people walk on, and that's what we did. I mean, you know, that program turned exactly what it should, and I'm very happy with what we've done, and we can do more downtown. We have maybe, we'll see where we're going to go this fall with that one there. I mean, the Rusty's talk about going, we really do need a sidewalk from Garfield West on 6th Street. And it'll probably be on the south side. The problem with that is it's going to take a little coordination because there's going to be sprinkler systems that have to be moved, and I mean, you just got to think it all out. I think it's a good project because we do need some walking area in there, especially as we want to tie into the west side of town now. It would make sense to put some walk there because right now you're in the parking lot on the north side or on the south side. We have crosswalks in the middle of nowheres, and even at the stop sign, the stoplight at Garfield and 6th, we have no sidewalk going west. I mean, but that's more, I mean, it may take a couple of years to get to that point, but that's a good point. The other thing is to talk about, can we add 20,000 for more demolition? I think we maybe can move that in there because we had 40,000 for, but I think we can get that worked in there. Add a bus, yes or no? $8,000 was what they asked for. We need a yes or no on that. And then the library, you know, last week, you know, or 2 weeks ago we met, you know, got the attitude from the library director that we can't touch their mill levy. Well, I've done a lot of research, and it's in the packet tonight. We may or may want to take that out of the regular agenda. Is that no, ultimately, the city commission, as I've always believed, determines the whole mill levy of the city. Not a library board. You can set the rules. We have that charter ordinance, Charter Ordinance 26, I believe it is, that sets to not exceed 6 mills. That was done in 1997 when the value when a mill here was probably worth about $80,000. When your valuation was $80 million, $90 million. And now we're twice that basically. So plus then back in those days in 97, you had different mill levies for different classes of cities. Cities of third class were allowed, I think, a 1 mill levy, 2s were 2 or 3, and 3s were 3 or 4. I can't remember the numbers exactly. And so since when you have a state law that's not applicable to all classes of cities, you can charter out. You can charter at any number you want. You could charter at 100, you know. I mean, there's no way of doing it. Well, we charted out at 6. And our ordinance says not to exceed 6 mills, which I really believe it sticks in there. And I talked to the league, and she agreed with me. But however, since that time happened, there is no longer a state limit on library budgets. It didn't get renewed, so it could be whatever mill levy they want. So the league, and as I sent out in the packet, is suggesting that you can put it in place. Because the library law, there's a Attorney General's opinion from back in the 60s that says you have to levy what the library wants if it meets the law. The league argues you can make the law. And ultimately, it's you 5, along with a staff assisting you, that sets the mill levy for the city, that taxes the taxpayers. It's your responsibility. You were elected for that, and I mean, you know, and so you can set it at that. Commissioner Underhill and I met with the library last night, library board. They would like us to go to 850, 845 plus then the 5,000 in water. So from 830 to 845, and they're $15,000. If we do that, we could, you know, I did put in place because I thought they were going to push that, you know, well, they can do what they want to do, and I thought I put the ordinance in there, and when we get to the meeting, we can drop that out if we want to. And if you want to go 4.45, I had to adjust that number a bit if you want to keep it in place or just not even have it. I mean, but you always have that possibility of doing that. So just wanted to through that. Other than that, I think we covered everything, what we have. We're going to have some times that are tough, some areas that are tough. We have to cut some spending in some areas, but I think we can. You know, we were tougher in some departments than others. I'm not going to argue that. But we literally went through every line item, and which I think you should do in the budget. And, you know, a few, and you know, and we added some too in some places. We're going like, that's not quite enough. I think we can make things happen. So the goal is I either got to find another, I had that number this morning, I write it down. Well, 40, calculator real quick. 49.693 mils minus 48.115 is 1.578 mils, and the valuation is 175 times 5. You're about 276,000 over, give or take. I mean, I didn't, that's rounded off. So if you do the transfer of 300,000 from the two utilities, and part of me, there's a fairness there. One of my initial thought was to go in there and to lower the amount for stormwater and streets and special highway and raise utilities in it. Now we're, geez, I think this is a better place. I will admit I made a mistake on last year's budget. Didn't notice it till now. Maybe with the transition, I should have caught it though. We only levied last year 0.355 for economic development. It's supposed to be 1 mil. What happened was I forgot to tell Lindsay and Sean and everything else that there's on fire reserve and economic development, those are, and even on in library, what I call forced numbers. In other words, we want to shoot for 2 mils on fire reserve. So you force that number, and then you go back in your forms and you fill it back in. And I missed on that. The good part about it the money got used elsewhere in public works or something else. So not a total loss, and but just sure right now I got a 0.999. So I could make it 1, but we did that last year. We wanted to get it to even be 48, whatever the number was last year.
095.
Yeah.
What did MAC, what did we end up on that?
I've kept it at that.
What do you mean kept it at?
I've kept it at what he requested.
Was that the county doing the same?
The county will not do the same.
What was
You
your
know-
question, ma'am?
On the MAC, they had asked for
For a
65.
$10,000
and-
increase.
And then at our budget meeting, it was if the county does 65, we would too, so I'm just wondering if the
The
county.
county's not going to do it. They still got to they made the announcement yesterday, they will not go to a vote, which means they can basically go up 2 mils. I don't know how to solve that problem. I did some comparison today. I was telling Commissioner Fitzgerald and Commissioner Underhill, looked at the stats today. Of the 105 counties in Kansas, one being the lowest, we are 64th in mill levy, or 41 from the highest mill levy. But you gotta realize those 41 cities below us have an average population of less than 5,000. Jefferson County has 18,000 and Jackson County about 11,000, and the rest of them are smaller than that. And 33 of those 41 counties are located here west, Abilene West. The Wallace counties, and those where you have populations of 1,200. So it's a different game out there. I mean, they have higher mill levy, but of course the difference out there is that mill levy, especially you start getting like into Hamilton County and some of those out in the western part of the state, is the mill levy may be high, but the houses are maybe valued less than they are here because it's offset by good ag land or dairy farms or natural gas and minerals. So it's a different game. I mean, I get it. We're the second smallest county in the state of Kansas geographically, and we have 2 large pieces of land that are tax exempt. I get it, And ag land is not the value here because ag land is based on use value, not cash value, not appraised value. So it's assessed a whole different game. And you get in western Kansas where you grow corn, I can be 20 miles from Commissioner Brown, there's cornfields in between us, or bean fields, whereas here we're pasture. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, the numbers are. Yeah, the question is do you want to fund MAC the extra $10,000? I'm going to guess they won't get it from the county because they're going to be looking for cuts yet.
Well, the function of the MAC is now more economic development now anyway, which is what we want. And we can't, I don't think we can function under the idea that the county is always going to do what we do. We just can't. It's not going to happen. So I think if we want more people to live here, more soldiers to stay here, I think we need to fully support those things and not worry about what somebody else does. We know what's right. I don't think we do this out-of-bus thing at all. We are already paying for that through county taxes, period. I mean, it's on them. It was their decision. They went for it, and that's fine. But again, all of our citizens are already paying for all that anyway. So to hit our citizens twice for that, I don't agree with.
You know, the only thing, and I discovered it, and I missed how our library was funded from the county side. Our library, for everybody out of the city limits of Junction City, and of course, we're at 4 point whatever mills for library, 4.4. I mean, 4.424, now that's the 830,000, 4.424. Everybody else in the county pays a 1.305 for a library levy. That goes to here. Don't understand how it all happened. I've had library districts, but this one's a little different. But, so Grandview Plaza residents, Milford residents, and everybody in a township that is not an incorporated city of Junction City pays that 1.305. So, likewise, everybody outside the city here also pays a fire district levy of 2.9, well, it's higher than some, but it's basically 2.975 in the townships, but not in the city of Milford or the city of Grandview.
I agree with the mayor on paying, increasing max budget. The library, that up to 845 was kind of what we had discussed even that night of trying to split it up over 3 years, maybe rather than one giant increase.
Well, I suggested a 5 year.
Right. And so that was something that was discussed as far as the ATA bus. I'm fine either way on that. I get the whole, we're inside the county and we're paying county taxes and it's county taxes paying for it. So I understand what the mayor's saying as well, so.
And I think it's okay to use the enterprise funds to make up the difference. I mean, to me, it's justified. It's been justified all along to do that.
We probably should have done more.
Right. I just don't want to, we don't want to
No, I'm going to
cut our
focus.
pockets because we got too much stuff to fix.
I'm
still.
going to focus on those projects. Ray and I always kid that we're going to have this town out of debt and fixed up before when we retire. So that's the goal.
That's the goal.
I won't get all out of debt, but we'll come closer.
And I think there's still, more we can do on streets
Mm-hmm.
without question. There's more, projects around town that need to be fixed up, and
But this,
we're making a little headway here and there. We've fixed out some things, and we're getting a good start, but there's no question there's a lot more to do.
we have enough funds because next year we're going to get hit with a couple of things. We have 400,000 we need basically for Spring Valley piece, our match on that. If we apply for our grant on the roundabout and get it, all realistically, I mean, you don't get notified till February. You get January, February, you get the grant. We have the meeting in February. By the time they get through all the environmentals, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, but if we get $700,000 worth of funds, it cuts the cost to the citizens by half, which I think all of a sudden drives that project to a real strong project. It is now, but I think it drives it even barely when you get done for 50 cents on a dollar.
And our projected cost on that was 1.4.
Yeah. And they can match up to 700,000. City of our size. So
We could open up the window of when it has to be done. Maybe we'll get some better bids.
well, it'll just. I mean, like the Spring Valley project, we didn't get to go. I didn't tell Leon go till 3 weeks ago, because state says, Al, you can't go yet. And you don't want to spend a dime. I mean, you got,
Right.
I mean, if we're going to get grant funds, I want to use them to the max and don't leave any money on the table. And they're monitored. And I tell you what, when Linda comes in here, I mean, we have a great grant administrator with Northwest Kansas, but Tammy, everything was in order this year. We're in good shape. So.
When will they start the Spring Valley project?
It'll probably be next spring.
Next
Bid
spring?
it this summer, right? Yeah, maybe some this fall. It's going to be, when you do grant, that's what it is. The playground was a total different game because there wasn't a whole lot of thinking. I mean, there was thinking, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like we don't have to design and do engineer plans. When they bid it out, the playground's going to look kind of like this. It's a whole lot different than what Leon has to do, and, you know, we didn't need professional engineering services for that. We do for this, of course. Little different game. So, and, you know, we do have some money, I have some room in there that if we have some little projects we want to do in the park, we got some room available. I got 40, 50,000 lying around in parks that I can use for those things. I think we can get there. You know, the question would be is what do you want to do with the library? What do you want to do with transfers? And that's probably the two questions are the biggest two.
And as far as the library goes, you had proposed increasing by 30,000 towards salaries.
Well, 30,000, I don't know how Carrie to spend it. We can't tell them how to spend their money. It's $30,000 plus then a 5,000, we just take care of the water, which I don't know why we haven't all along. I mean, I have not been the city yet that made the library pay for a city utility.
So they get an overall benefit of 35,000 they can use however they feel.
35,000 and they won 50. So it'd be 45 plus 5. So another 15,000 from tax dollars.
I think we can get there in time, but
All the way, no,
No, last
this year.
What they asked for was 950.
950,
Alan put 830.
830 plus 5, I put 835.
845.
And they want to be 850 now. So 845 plus the 5 water. Which is, I mean, frankly, that doesn't cost you 5. You know, because, you know, it's a city building and, you know, you don't have to full, you know, there should be some profit in selling water because if you don't have profit, you can't do projects.
right.
So it's wholesale cost per se. But it's 5,000 of what they were paying. And again, this is the first city I've been into where a library had to pay for city utilities. And like the town that came before here, they got electric and natural gas free that way. And water, they has no utilities.
Thoughts?
I agree with you on the ATA. And the 10,000 a MAC, I'm good with too.
And the 9, and the whatever, and the extra, and, you know, we'll push 160, what Mickey went, 169?
Or
EDC. 168, what was that number?
The total budget was like 365 or something, wasn't it?
she went
Oh, didn't she get a meal or something?
No, we
from 155 to 174.
174. So it'll eat up the whole mill. No, we do levy a mill, except for last year when somebody messed up. I'll own it. But the point is, you know, and Pat and I are probably, Mayor and I are probably the culprits in this one because we basically sat there that I believe, and I think the mayor's saying, wait, we believe economic development is important to this community. And we looked at her and says, what's it going to cost to fund it realistically? Do what you want to do. I'm not going to speak for the mayor, but I believe, and I think he did too, that the donated money on the side from Junction City First does not need to be used for recruitment. It needs to be used for incentives, like we did with CAMSO. And trust me, that $200,000 made a difference. And it didn't put it all on us. So
Yeah, initially they were using that for Mickey to go to trade shows and get business here, and I thought, no, that should be
That's-
a regular expense
Yeah.
by city and county, period.
And that's why we encourage you to bring the budget as such. Again, I think economic development we have to keep pushing at it. You know, one thing I found out working as close, I've had economic development, our communities I've been with never at this level because with a person of her caliber, is that you got to kiss a lot of frogs to find a prince. I mean,
You're in competition to everybody else out there.
you
I
do.
mean,
Everybody else has
Fine.
great cities. I mean, you know, you got to find what makes a difference, and then you got to find that one community that you can get into.
We don't
You know,
have money to throw at companies, so we have to use what we have.
yeah,
so.
I mean, you got to realize CAMSO was a nationwide search to bring in a company that was 60 to 70% of the market on tracks in the world. In competition with Lincoln, Nebraska, was the final two. That's in Lincoln. In a state that's probably more friendly than Kansas is. Utility rates, electric rates are probably cheaper a little bit because Nebraska is public power pretty well throughout with mean. You know, we fought the battle and we won it. I mean, it took all the things, and I think the mayor knows that as well as anybody. And it just took those things, and you just got to keep doing it. We're going to find, there's going to be air business getting here. You know, I mean, I'm not, you know, if she could find a way to build a spec building, if we could build a $100,000 to $150,000 square foot building with 30-foot sidewalls, it'll fill in 4 or 5 years. It'll fill, guaranteed. The problem is to reaching out and have the guts to do that and the investors to do that with. Thus lies the problem. But, you know, as we get the debt paid down, and I'm feeling good about the debt from a standpoint, because next year, you know, I mean, you know, our debt payments will be, in 2021, will be another 300,000 less, because it's going about 250, 300,000 a year south. You know, we have the general obligation debt, but we can't forget that KDOT debt too. You know, we have $8 million worth of KDOT debt, which is 1/3 of the money KDOT has in that fund. We used to be half of it. So we're making progress when the secretary, Mike from Heston,
Oh,
I can't think of his name right, the secretary of transportation, he says, that's when he wanted us to take over the connecting links.
no, thank you.
I didn't even ask you before I said no on that one. And I didn't. She told you after. But
Disaster.
it would have been a disaster. Yeah, we're getting there. I mean, it's just, Lindsay and I look at those numbers on the wall and we think about every way we can make this work.
If we, on the library, if we go with what Commissioner Underhill and you were talking about, how does that affect our mill?
It'll raise it. They will go from 4.424, which is what I have now, I believe, to 4.512. And I'll throw that 15, 20,000 into somewhere else, and we'll be, if we do the transfer over, we'll be at 48.115. And I know I'm tied in some department, but I feel we're comfortable we can do it. We're just going to have to, you know, we just have to bear down and do it. You know, we got to get the sales tax this fall. We just got to get it passed so we don't have to try again next summer.
Yeah, we can't raise the mill levy and then ask for more.
No,
sales
no,
tax.
and that's why we've department heads have been great partners with me. Lindsay's learned a lot. You know, we pushed through it, and I think I'm very happy where we're at. You know, no apologies. I think we did I think Brad, we did a pretty good job, and got us there.
Anything else?
I don't have a problem with the funding the MAC more, or the enterprise that you're.
Using the enterprise funds to come over
I have
to.
no issues with
Right,
that.
I feel like that's
Um,
economic
As far as the
development.
Adibus, I'm with you on that, Mayor. I don't think we should be
Because to
paying-
me, that's just a foot in the door. That number's only going to go north.
Right, right. They don't ask for more and more.
Yep.
Will we still go forward with the ordinance, or
No,
for the
that
board.
will come off the agenda?
I would
then?
say take it off. They want to make a good faith effort.
They've always been good partners.
Maybe I overreacted, but when I was getting letters saying that you have to, no, I'll have my ducks ready to go.
We're ultimately the governing body that approves all that stuff, so that's on us.
I always believed it, but you know, but I also wanted a place if they wanted to push anything. And I would say we don't, you know, I'd be fine tonight. We just move past that item.
Okay. Oh, take an item off the agenda? That's terrible. Oh,
It only goes
Can we
to
get a
P
couple
instead of.
proclamations taken off too?
Happened tonight. She's the clerk always gets proclamations. So you have to blame her.
I know it.
Oh, we had a
Darn
motion to
Tammy.
adjourn?
Yeah.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Who do we decide?
I can't make the motion.
motion.
I made the motion
Yes,
to
you can.
adjourn.
Sorry, Mayor.
Yes, you
All in
can.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
We're out.
Yes, you can make a motion.